One. Welcome back to ESPR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted as always to be joined by Niall O'Connell. Niall, we've just seen Jaime Munguia stop John Ryder in round 9 after a couple of knockdowns in we have to call quite an impressive performance. I think Munguia went in as quite a strong favourite. A lot of people were debating, is this fight going to go the distance? Is it going to go points? And he's got that emphatic stoppage there in the middle of round 9. What did you make of it all?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I thought it was a good fight while it lasted. Ryder, I think, as expected, was tough as all boots, so durable, so kind of exciting while he's in there, and he had success, as always, against Munguia. You're going to have success tagging him. He's not defensively sound at all, but that's what makes him exciting to watch as well. But as you mentioned, there was a great performance from Munguia. Just too young, too kind of strong, and too sharp in the end. And the question was, could he get the stoppage? Like he's done something now Canelo couldn't do.
Yeah.
Canelo couldn't get Ryder out there, and now if he has that kind of over him, if he was to push on to a world title fight next, so to get the stoppage is a big statement. He was always, as you mentioned, highly expected to come through strongly, but the stoppage is a good statement for him there tonight. So yeah, it's a good win from Munguia.
Yeah, look, I think it was a crazy fight in the sense that Munguia would have these spells of dominance and look like he was on the verge of stopping Ryder. Yet, kind of 30 seconds later, Ryder was right back in the round and firing away. So, yeah, look, a good fight. Later than expected, but we're not going to go on about that. But here we are, and it's very late where we are. Um, do you consider this Jaime Munguia's best win? No, obviously still undefeated. Had that win over against Deverenchenko, which was a close fight last time out. Beaston John got the stoppage over John Ryder, which you mentioned that Canelo couldn't do. I think kind of a lot of people have a lot of people have criticized him for having an incredibly padded record. Um, yeah, Liam Smith is another name on there. That victory was quite a long time ago. Where does the John Ryder win rank in kind of Jaime Munguia's career so far, in your opinion?
See, it's a tough one because I was kind of thinking about this, and as I mentioned, I really like Munguia, but you're right, he should have done so much more by now. Like 43 fights, he's 27 now, and his resume is really substandard for that kind of level. But it's hard. Would you rank Derevianchenko and Smith ahead of Ryder as fighters? I probably would. So I'd probably say they're better wins, but in terms of a performance, as I mentioned, to stop Ryder is a big statement. So it's probably the best performance of his career, I would say, against a really kind of solid operator in Ryder, and then to stop him is it's quite impressive. Name wise on paper. I'd put the Derevianchenko and Smith wins higher than Ryder, but how good he looked there tonight and the final result to get the stoppage, yeah, it's the most impressive performance in Munguia's career for me anyway. Hopefully he can push on now after that to get the big fights.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think like there might be some people kind of assuming that in Munguia's 43 fights there are kind of other victories to point out. Unfortunately, there really aren't. I think Gabriel Rosado is another one who was again like a very tough man, but not kind of not the best boxer and not the best record you're going to ever come across. I think the difference is with Munguia, kind of when he fought Liam Smith, people thought he was going to go on to bigger and better things, and he didn't really. With Deverenchenko, I think people weren't kind of really sure what was next, and that fight was quite a few months ago now. Now with John Ryder, he's beaten John Ryder, and I think that people are confident that his career is going to go in an exciting path. He's not going to kind of take a backward step or a side step in his next fight. Which leads me on to my next question for you, Niall. As we mentioned, look, the story is he's kind of stopped John Ryder, which Canelo couldn't do. Do you think we will see Jaime Munguia against Canelo in May? I think other options for Canelo, obviously, David Benavidez, maybe Jamal Charlo is another name that's been mentioned. I'm open to any other kind of suggestions that you may have, but yeah, do you think Munguia is going to be the fight for Canelo in May?
I don't think we're gonna see it. I think it's one of the two kind of only viable options I'd like to see Canelo fight. You mentioned Benavidez or Munguia, I think are the two most logical options for Canelo. I personally want to see, and I think Canelo will fight Benavidez next. So in terms of what's next for Munguia, there's a lot of good fights there for him in the meantime, but it has to be a big fight now. There's no more kind of softer touches after 43 fights and his record. So yeah, there's good options like Pacheco, and Billy, Morel, even, there is good fighters in the super middleweight division, Caleb Plant, but the one fight I'd love to see while I wait for the Canelo Benavidez winner, and I think I'd be jumping at the chance to make it if I was Golden Boy is Triple G and Jaime Munguia. I think is would be a great fight, violence while it lasts. He'd get Triple G at the right time. He's way past his best. He hasn't fought now in a couple of years. So I think it is safe to say he's past his best, and I think he'd beat Triple G, to be honest, and he could stop him. I just think stylistically it'd gel so well. It'd be a great fight, and to have that kind of name, that marquee name on his record, even though it's a past his best, Triple G will be huge from Munguia while he waited on that world title fight, and it's such a winnable fight for him, and I think he would win it. So
Yeah.
Munguia and Triple G for me next, please. That's what I'd love to see.
Yeah, look, it's got to be a possibility. I think there's, I don't know about you, it feels like things have gone a bit quiet with Golovkin recently, but maybe we'll hear some news soon. I think that's a fight that would go down well with a lot of people. I think the one name you mentioned that I like the sound of as well as Caleb Plant. I think that's a very good fight
Yeah.
for Munguia as well. However, one question I do have for you now: if you're wrong and it is Munguia and Canelo in May, as things stand, who would you pick for that fight? Who are you leaning towards?
I'd have to go Canelo, to be honest. Munguia, he'd put up a good fight, he'd be very competitive with Canelo, but he's just still so rough around the edges. As I say, I'm a big fan of his, and he has improved fight by fight, but he should have pushed on now, and he's just too hittable. Even Ryder showed it tonight. He's so easily tagged, and if it's Canelo landing them sharp counters on you, you're gonna feel it. And I just think Canelo will have too much class for him in the end still, even though Canelo's past his best. But if they were to fight next, I'd say Canelo beats him a fairly wide points decision. I wouldn't say he stops him. I'd say he just has too much class and experience that he'll win a points decision if it's next. But I definitely think it'll be a good fight. It'll be entertaining, while it was happening. But and I wouldn't complain about seeing it. But yeah, Canelo for me in that one.
Yeah, we'll see. Before we finish now, just want to touch on John Ryder. 35 years old now. Tonight was his 39th fight. That's loss number 7 now, albeit kind of look, if you look at who those losses are against, it's no shame having some of those losses on this record. Some of those losses have been very close fights, i.e. the fights with Callum Smith, the fights against Billy Joe Saunders, and then some of the losses have just been against top class competitors like Jaime Munguia and Canelo Alvarez. Do you think we've seen the last of John Ryder?
Yeah, well, I hope so, to be honest. And that's not saying it in an insulting way to Ryder. I'm a big fan of Ryder, and that's why I hope we've seen the last one, to be honest. Why carry on? What are you trying to achieve? You're 35 now, as you mentioned. 35. He's not going to win a world title. He's not going to even beat really fringe world operators at super middleweight for me. So he's had a great career to be proud of, but he took a hellacious beating there tonight, and he took an even worse beating against Canelo for 12 rounds. So I think for his own sake, for his own health, step away while you still have your faculties. I'd love to see him walk away now, and he's had a great career, and I'm a huge fan. But hopefully that is the last we've seen of him. To be honest with you, yeah, I hope that's it.
Yeah, definitely. I think look, I agree with you, and I hope so as well. I think he had his moments in there. He had his moments in there tonight, but it was a. I would whether I'm not convinced he won a round, if I'm honest. Um,
Oh,
I think the only kind of real option for him would be some sort of gatekeeper for the likes of Diego Pacheco, maybe Edgar Berlanga, in the sun. But I don't want to see John Ryder take another beating. And also another factor is he's earned his money. It was like pre Danny Jacobs fight, that was a problem for him. He'd worked hard in the sport, been in a lot of fights, but he hadn't really earned big money, and he's done that in his last two fights. He would have earned a bucket load of money. So I think we're in agreement there. I think that's hopefully it for John Ryder.
Yeah.
Niall, it's late, so we'll leave it there. Thank you for your time as always. We will see what's next for Jaime Munguia, if it's against Canelo, if it's against someone else. I think this has kind of arguably been his breakout performance tonight for a lot of people. He's really impressed a lot of people, and hopefully we see an exciting 2024 for him. But we shall see. Niall, thank you very much for your time, and I will speak to you again soon.
Thank you. Take care.